So today we're going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 58 of the series, and if you haven't seen the last episode, make sure to go check it out. We saw a lot of wars take place in that episode and a little bit of alliance expansion. And if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated as we're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers. And let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. So to start this episode, we're going to be heading straight down here into Mesopotamia. This is where the remnants of the old empire exist. Now, there has been really nothing happening in this land. The organization of states is like the only relevant thing, and that doesn't even exist anymore. In the last episode, we did see this war over here between Greece and this country, but everything else has been pretty untouched until now, because the green team has just declared war upon the gold country, and green team troops start moving in. Unsurprisingly here, as we know, the green country is a expansionist country. They are at this point a fascist country as well. But as you can see, this war is not going so well for the gold country. They aren't necessarily like a brand new country. They've been here for a decade or so about now. But the green team is just simply so much stronger. Once again, they are a top 10 in power at this very point in time. And the gold team will eventually be forced into surrender. And we can go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. And in this treaty here, we can see that the gold team is almost completely swallowed up. There we go, now it is. And the green team now has itself a solid foothold in the Persian region going into Mesopotamia, specifically in the Middle East. And this is downright concerning for a lot of countries, such as this blue Persian country. They are now like worried that they could be next. All of these central Mesopotamian countries are also worried that they could be in trouble. And even like to an extent, the Russian countries are worried. And very similar to like the brown team in Europe, the green team is in trouble of like having a coalition formed against them. The red team could join, the pink team will definitely join to get their revenge, the blue team would join to get their revenge. And honestly, you could see other regional powers like India and China try to fund this coalition if it were to form. So it is suggested by me that the green team stops doing this. But staying in this region and on that topic, we come over here to India. As we know, they have their own economical alliance, and recently their influence has been expanding up into Central Asia with both the red and orange teams joining in. But now they're gaining yet another member, and this time it is unsurprisingly going to be the Persian blue team, who is, like I said, of course, terrified at the green team's expansion. So it turns out the green team's expansion is actually like a good thing for India's influence, and this economical alliance is now gaining interest all across Mesopotamia. So that's something to watch in future episodes. But now we're heading up north from here to the former Russian states. So we have yet another country joining in on the Russian HRE, and that is going to be the yellow country. Now the yellow country is joining this thing because of the green team. They're a little bit scared of the green team, like I said earlier, and they feel like joining this Russian HRE alliance would help them maybe not get invaded. Remember, this thing started because there was a power struggle to see who would be the true successor of Russia. And this thing also has elections, just like the real HRE, to choose a leader who leads the alliance. But overall, it's a military alliance. There is protection guaranteed by all of these states. They all choose to protect each other. However, they aren't protected from themselves, also like the real HRE to an extent. So when a country like the dark blue team here wants to expand their landmass west, there really isn't too much stopping them from doing so, even though that they are in an alliance with these guys. So when their troops cross the border, the pink/purple team will go to the alliance and be like, hey, can you help me stop this invasion from happening? My own ally is invading me. And the alliance will be silent. They are not going to send any troops to help. The truth of the matter is, they all don't really like each other, but they benefit from each other. So if any outside force were to attack us, sure, we'll help you out. But if like one of our own were to attack you, good luck. Eventually, the blue team will capture the capital of the purple team, and then they will continue their expansion, but some other unfortunate events will be happening, because blue team troops down here are also crossing the border and starting an invasion into the purple team. The Ukrainians will capture a province or two down here, and eventually the purple country will surrender. So we can take a look at this peace treaty of cannibalism, which will look something like this. Now, to note here is that the purple/pink team does still exist. They just lose like 80% of their land to their own allies, specifically the dark blue country. But they do still exist right here, and they have their capital city still. No other major cities, so they might be cooked. And the most weird thing about this is that they will retain their status in the Russian HRE. In the Russian HRE because they simply like the protection. Now, it's not really going to help them with anything because they're completely surrounded now by members of their own alliance. And as we know, this thing doesn't protect them from their own members, so is there really a point in being in it? But now we're jumping down to Africa, where there is a pretty major event happening, and it's a long time coming. South Africa will be forming a military alliance, the Trapezoid Military Alliance, and I say Trapezoid Military because there is already a Trapezoid Alliance, but it is the NATO organization, so we can just now call this thing NATO, and instead we'll just call this the Trapezoid Alliance. But this thing forms, and South Africa will declare itself as a fascist-free country. They will not allow fascist candidates to run in their country and encourage their fellow African countries in their economical alliance to do the same. And a major rule of this alliance is that in order to join it, you also have to ban fascism in your country, and instantly they'll be getting a new member, and that is, unsurprisingly, going to be the Tanzanian country. These guys banned fascism as soon as the gold team made it popular. Unsurprising, these two hate each other. It's really bad. But now they are guaranteed military protection from the South Africans, but not only the South Africans, because some other countries will be joining this thing. That includes both of this country and that country. Remember that this was once a large country down here, but it broke apart due to differences. It was a peaceful breakup, which means that diplomacy in this region isn't an issue. They have no problem getting along with each other, and thus this alliance is easily able to expand. But yet another country joining the Trapezoid Alliance is this teal country up here, and this is for a pretty obvious reason. They share a border with a lot of the members of the Star Economical Alliance, and then to the north they border a parallelogram country. They are very far from the rest of the alliance and don't share a border with any alliance members, but that could of course change in the future. But for now, Africa has itself a new alliance, one that hopes to counter the gold fascist country. And obviously this is going to make them mad, so what are they going to do? Oh, okay. This is going to make Tanzania very mad, who is like the only country left in Africa. Well, not the only one, but like the main country left in Africa that has this brown religion. Remember, this thing went all the way up through into the Horn of Africa. That has changed now because of the gold team's genocide against them. And then of course, India is where this religion slash ethnicity started. But on the topic of this layer and ethnicities, we go up here to where the green country is, and we see something mightily unfortunate. The green team will start its own genocide, being the second country in the world to openly sponsor such a policy. And this is something that could very well get a coalition formed against you. Maybe it's already brewing. Anyways, we're now jumping over here to North America, where there has actually been a lot of events happening in both of these continents as of recently. But we're heading to where the West Mexican country is. Remember, a few episodes ago, these guys became an official state and are now recognized as the Western Mexican country, and they're attempting to put their terroristic history behind them and move forward as a state. There's always been turmoil and like just bad colonialism in this area. It's led to a lot of wars and issues. We saw that with Texas, we saw that with Mexico, and then of course we saw that with these guys. But it's starting to get better. It's just not perfect just yet. And even though they're trying to put their terroristic past behind them, they still have a hunger for something, and that is population. They just now recently gained a few million people from their war with Mexico and taking this western coastal area. And the way that I like to gauge population in this series is by like how small the provinces are. So for example, over here in the old world, you can see the provinces are very small, specifically in Mesopotamia. That's because this is where all of the population in the world is at. You can also see that China has extremely small provinces, a lot of people living there. India has small provinces right here, a lot of people living there. But when you get to areas with huge provinces like the Saharan Desert, there's not a whole lot of people living there. In Europe, you can see they're also really small, but in the Americas, the population difference is a lot less than what it is in the old world and into Australia. So now when we come back over here, you can see how small these provinces are, for example, and you can see how big the Mexican country's provinces are. They don't have a lot of population. They want to change that. One thing leads to another, and all of a sudden the Mexican country claims that the yellow team blew up a train going across a bridge. Sounds familiar. With this proclamation, the Western Mexican country will send an ultimatum over to the yellow team, telling them to pay a ridiculous amount of reparations in order for them to kind of like bat an eye to this incident. The yellow team doesn't have that kind of money, and they refuse the ultimatum, and now the gray Mexican country has its false flag reason to go into this country. And to be honest with you, these guys were trying to join up in that whole NATO organization, but now they don't have to worry about it because they will be getting a new owner. The Mexican country's army, which has just formed. Before, it was just a bunch of terrorists and unorganized, but now they are officially like a uniform military. These guys go in and they win very quickly. They also make sure to have a very low amount of casualties in this war. They want to ensure that their image isn't tarnished, and just declaring yourself as a nation and trying to put your terrorist past behind you and then doing something like this, that can kind of look bad and people will lose their trust in you. But when you have this false flag sense, if you can get other countries to believe it, then you're good. One country in particular they get to believe it is America. America appears to be very stupid. Go figure. Anyway, let's take a look at this peace treaty. And in this peace treaty here, we have something interesting happening. So the Western Mexican country will annex most of this country. However, they will be giving a province over to the Californian country. Why do they do that? Well, a deal was made. The Californians wanted this province for special resources that were there that the Mexican country already had an abundance of. So in other words, they didn't necessarily need this province, whereas California kind of did. They cut a deal saying, hey, we'll give you this province if you enter into an economical pact with us. And that's what happens. California and the Western Mexican country will have a trade organization made between just the two of them. And I'm not going to make this like an official economical alliance because I don't want to have another shape down here, but just keep that in mind. Zooming out now, we can see that North America is looking something like this. It has been very unnoticeable, but this continent has very slowly been losing its countries. The only area that is like relatively safe from invasion is up here in the Canadian area, and that's because the Americans have no interest in going up there. Remember when these guys first got their independence, there was a large coalition formed against the Americans, but ever since then, they've been improving relations, and there really aren't that many hostilities up here in the north. These guys are like the democratic foothold in North America, and they want to be friendly with as many people as possible. So no war. And now we're going down to Australia. Remember, these guys had a certain little ideology shift in the previous video, and they're going to be going on a little bit of an expansion quest up north to these guys. Receiving fund from a foreign power, unsurprisingly. I wonder who could be giving them military aid. Certainly not like these guys or anything. Well, that's definitely them. But the Australian troops will cross the border, and they'll be sticking to this coastal area, moving up the coast, taking over these largely populated cities, the very few that Australia has. And they are in large part successful, as they've seen little to no resistance by this Australian country. And these things, to be honest with you, none of the countries in this region have done anything. And this is like the first major event to ever happen over here. But the Australians will move all the way up, take both of these major cities and this country's capital city, which will spell out its defeat as it surrenders. And in this peace treaty, they are fully annexed. The red fascist Australian country doubles its size and gains access to a whole new region, Papua New Guinea. And let's just say that the tanks don't stop rolling here. They load up on the boats, and they are now heading straight towards the pink country. Eventually, they'll make a landing in the pink country, and this amphibious invasion goes extremely well, as they stick to the coastal areas and start pushing up and around. But eventually, the yellow country will get involved in this war, and I don't necessarily know what their justification would be, because you could say you're going in to save the people, but like you're invading them with your army, so maybe not. But at the end of the day, the pink team will fall, and the division of this country will look something like this. So let's take a look at the peace treaty, which looks something like this, with the yellow country getting the top half and the red country getting the bottom half. Now, in the yellow team country, there was a pretty large movement that was very much not in support of this event, and they lose these sets of isles over here, becoming their own independent country. And this is like our first micronation in the series. Sure, you have these guys around here. These aren't really micronations of this. This is a micronation. They have this large island over here, but they decided to put their government right here, pretty far away from any issues. And yeah, zooming out, we'll probably never come here ever again. Just kidding, we will be in the next episode. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All that support is really greatly appreciated, as we're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers. I'm recording this on March 12th. It is now officially April for the AdizzPro channel and everyone else in the world. Thing is though, this is pre-recorded, so it's a new month for me. I have to record all of April's videos in like 2 weeks of videos in May. I'm going to try to do that all in one night tonight, so wish me luck. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Serminator, Hyper, King Cheese, Freezioid, Big Red Plays, Laser Tase, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Pablo Sigma Cat, Death Strider X, Hammer Toad 45, Connor the Gamer, CTG on YT, Johnny XX7, and DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.